What's up everybody, my name is Brendan and this is BigBearB Creative. Welcome back everybody to another Friday landscape photography video, and today I'm going to be telling you a video a little bit more specifically towards beginner photographers and kind of helping you guys understand what it is that you actually need and what you don't need when you're starting out. So we'll be going over a couple different items that it is as landscape photographers, beginner landscape photographers, you guys are going to need to have so you can actually start your process and your journey along this whole art form. So let's start off with obviously the most important, and that's going to be a camera. So there are a bunch of different options out there for you to choose. Specifically, I'm going to show you kind of what I have, what I've used as I've started my journey and all that kind of stuff into landscape photography. So the camera that I've started off with was a Nikon D5200. Now, Nikon D5200 is a great little camera. It's more of the beginner style DSLR. It's not necessarily a high-end professional, but it's also not just, average photographer who just goes out sometimes and shoots. So with the Nikon D5200, the reason I chose this over alternatives for this style of DSLR, like the Canon T6, Rebel T6, I believe was the competitor for the D5200, or around about that same time. The reason I went with the Nikon versus that is because of that flip screen. So if you're like me and you're over 6 feet tall, a lot of the times you're gonna find tripods that are just a little bit too short for you, and that's a big problem that I've had, that they're just a little bit too short. So when I'm shooting up high, I don't always like bending over because that's going to make my back hurt, and after hiking all day as we do as landscape photographers, it's just not very fun. So having that flip screen is also really big. Also, if you're going to be making videos, again like I do here, that flip screen is really important. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at you now. It's right there. But it's really important because it helps me see how I've composed my shot and all that. It's the same with photography too. That helps me compose my shot when I can't easily see through the viewfinder, which I prefer to shoot through, or at least to check focus and to check my comp and all that. But yeah, I've talked about that in many other videos, but that's one of the big things for me, is that it has that flip screen. Now, not all the time should you be shooting way up high. A lot of times you need to change where you're shooting, whether that be down low or anything like that. So again, that flip screen comes in handy, so you're not having to literally lay on the ground to see what you're shooting. You just tilt it up, helps you see better, so again, you're not bending down and breaking your back trying to get a single shot. So besides that, any DSLR, whether it's like the D5200 towards that beginner end, even if it's higher up, just having any of it is going to help you make sure that you're on your way to actually learning about photography, specifically about landscape photography, and just becoming better at the overall art form in general. So when it comes to choosing what your actual DSLR that you're going to use, or if you choose to use a mirrorless or anything like that, really just go with whatever fits in your budget. The D5200 is on the cheaper end. All the things that you're going to hear me talk about today, they're all going to be linked down below. I will say they are Amazon affiliate links, which means that whatever you buy after you go down there and you click on the links and you start going through all the photography things, that whatever you buy, Amazon will send a little kickback to me. That doesn't mean that you're paying anything extra. It's the same price you would have paid without it. It's just a way to help support me and this channel. So if you guys do want to buy anything I talked about today, I really appreciate you guys checking out those links again down in the comment section, not comment section, down in the description box below. Now, to pair with that, and what you have to pair with it, obviously, because there aren't any lenses attached to DSLRs or mirrorless cameras, but that's going to be your lenses, obviously. So I did a whole video about lenses and the best ones for landscape photography. If you watched that, great. If you didn't, I suggest you go check it out. But basically, to summarize that video, I said that all you really need for landscape photography is 2 lenses. That's going to be a wide lens and a kind of not necessarily a super zoom, but a pretty substantial zoom lens. So those were a 16 to 35 and a 100 to 400. Now obviously those are going to be a much higher end lens. They're going to be a lot more expensive. They're about $1,500 to $2,000, but again, they're really high quality, which is what you want to work towards with landscape photography, is having really high quality photographs. So those lenses are going to be more expensive. However, if you use these next two that I'm going to tell you, they're equivalent to those. They're wide and are also a zoom, but they're going to be a lot cheaper. So for starting off with landscape photography, I suggest you use the kit 18 to 55 and pair that with a 55 to 200. Both of these will combine for a great focal distance range all the way from 18 to 200. However, when you are using a DSLR, most of the time it is going to have a crop sensor, which means it's not going to actually be 18 to 55 and 55 to 200, you'll have to times whatever your focal range is by the crop factor of that sensor. For instance, my D5200, that has a crop factor of 1.5, which means I would times 1.5 by 18 to 55, and that'll give me that lens's actual focal range, and the same with the 55 to 200. So it's really easy, really simple, but you just have to remember that because it's not actually going to be as wide or as zoomed in as you think. It might be not as wide, it might be even more zoomed in. So it'll always be a little bit more zoomed in than what you think you're actually at, according to where you zoom in on the actual lens itself. But those are two fantastic lenses for those two reasons. You get the wide and you get the super tight, which is what you need for landscape photography, because not every time are you going to be capturing photographs that are of the entire landscape. Sometimes you're really going to want to tighten in on whether it be a tree, it could be a waterfall. You could even do a little bit of wildlife photography when you're out there if the opportunity presents itself. So having that versatility is key when it comes to starting and learning landscape photography. Now the next one that you are going to need, there isn't any way around it, you have to have this tool or item, and that's going to be a tripod. So the tripod that I use is a Manfrotto Be-Free Live, I believe is the name for it, which is actually a video tripod, but I do video work as well, so that's the reason I have it, but it also works well as a photography tripod. Now the main thing that I looked at when actually getting this tripod was its ball head, because you're going to need a ball head whenever you pick out whatever tripod it is. Again, whether it's this one or a different one, you're going to want a ball head, because that's going to mean that you could actually level your shot as well as just do smooth, even pans if you need to do a pano, because if you're shooting pano and things don't line up well when you go to actually put the whole thing together, it's just not, it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. So just having a ball head or a tripod that lets you easily shoot panos or anything like that, you're going to need, as well as a bubble level, which will again help you level out your camera to make sure you're getting the proper either horizon line or that pano work. So a tripod is very important there. It's also going to make sure that whenever you're shooting your photographs, you're not going to have motion blur. Motion blur is a huge problem for landscape photographers. That could be you have every setting correct, your focus is pinpoint sharp, then you go to take the photograph and you look at it and it's blurry. And that's typically because of motion blur, because either whenever you're taking the photo and you're actually kind of shaking the camera lens just a little bit, it's going to create that blur, or wind, earthquakes, it could be a bunch of different things, but just having a tripod there can mean that it's going to be more steady. As well as that, also shoot with a 2-second timer. It goes into a whole setting things. Again, I've talked about that in a lot of videos. So if you guys are curious about tutorials for landscape photography, make sure you guys check out the whole photography tutorial, landscape photography tutorial playlist that I have. There's a bunch of information there for you guys as beginners. But tripod, sturdy, you're gonna wanna make sure you have one. You're gonna wanna make sure it's a good one too. Don't, cheap out and buy that $15 to $20 one. Go ahead and buy somewhere around 80 to higher even, because those are going to be really sturdy. They're not going to break on you because you're going to be using them a lot. They are going to get beaten, they're going to get battered. So make sure you have a very quality tripod. Otherwise you're just going to be spending 20 bucks, 20 bucks and 20 bucks just over and over again, because the cheap ones just keep breaking on you. So tripod, great investment. Now, to pair with that tripod and your DSLR, there's one more thing you're going to need before we get into accessories and stuff like that that I suggest you guys get, or that you really should have. But that last thing is going to be a shutter remote. So a shutter remote is basically you plug it into the side of the camera as you see here, but it's going to let you actually take the photo without touching the camera, which again is going to cut down on any chance of motion blur. In addition to that, a lot of these remotes also have a shutter lock, which is going to be great for if you're doing any long exposure, astrophotography, anything like that. You're really going to need this because it's going to, one, make sure you're not getting motion blur, and it's going to let you get as long of an exposure as you need to get proper exposure. Again, exposure, but make sure you have the proper levels of brightness and shadow. Then to accompany those, there are a couple other things that you're going to need, and I'll go ahead and pull one of those out of my pocket here. Here, a little black case. Why might you need a little black case? Well, it doesn't need to be black, but you're going to need what's inside the case, and that's going to be a little filter. As you can see here, again, it's really little. That's because the Nikon D5200, a lot of the lenses for it, at least the not as expensive ones that match well with it, are a 55 millimeter, or not 55, they're actually a 52 millimeter lens ring. So this is a 52 millimeter filter that you're going to need to use, and this one in particular is a polarizing filter. There's a bunch of different kind of filters you could get, whether they be full stop, which is gradually getting darker and darker, or graduated, which is going to be from clear to black, which is just going to help out with various situations you could run into while actually taking landscape photography. But this one, the polarizer, you need to have at first, and that's good because it's going to help you cut down on glare, and you're going to run into glare a lot in landscape photography, whether it's off of water or off of leaves, or it could be a variety of different things, but the polarizer is going to cut down on that. So you know those photographs that you always see on Instagram of the reflections off of lakes and the mountains and the trees and all that? Polarizer. You're going to need the polarizer. This one also has a couple other ones, but I never use them. They're basically just UV filters, and whenever you're inside and you have those really nasty buzzing lights, that's what those are used for. But you're definitely going to need the polarizer, and then work towards also getting ND filters and graduated ND filters, which is just going to make you have a longer exposure time to get the better look that you're looking for, specifically during daytime and stuff like that. Now the next one, another small black case thing. This one's actually a little wallet, and this is going to hold all your SD cards, and you're going to need a lot of SD cards. Sorry if I was looking over here, I was just making sure you could see. But yeah, SD card wallet. You're going to need a lot of SDs because you're going to go through a lot of different photos, really depending on whatever it is that you do with landscape photography, whether it be of mountains, wildlife, if you're having to do photo blending. If you don't know what that is, again, I have tutorials over this. Yeah, there's a bunch of different things you could use, which means you're going, or a bunch of different things you can shoot, which means you're going to need to have that shooting capability, which means you're going to need SD cards, and having a wallet is just a great way to keep them all in one place without losing them, because they're small and you can lose them. Now, the next couple things, two more things, but I have two different varieties of those, so I'm gonna grab them real quick. Okay, my hair's in my face. The next thing you're going to need is camera bags. I have two of them here. One's an actual backpack, and the other one's more of just a little tiny case. Again, it all just kind of depends on what your preference is and how much gear you're shooting, or if you're bringing other stuff with you. So I'm gonna set down the small one real quick. The big one, this is a low pro. Again, all this stuff is linked down below if you're interested in this kind of stuff, but this one, it has all your camera stuff at the bottom, so just open this up. It has a little clip, a little flap, a little pocket for you to put little accessories in, and then your actual camera area, as you can see here. So I have my audio recorder that I'm recording this on. I have the remote, GoPros. I have more than what you actually need to start. But you have a bunch of different things that you could use in that. And then you also have up top a little pocket. Again, just for more storage for whatever it is that you need. So with, like I said earlier, with landscape photography, you're going to be hiking a lot and just traveling a lot in general. So you're gonna wanna make sure you have snacks, water, maybe a tent, sleeping bag, anything like that. So having a big backpack like that is gonna let you bring a lot more. However, if you're not doing all that, the small one is great. This is what I actually started with because it came with my camera bundle, but this one is a lot more simpler. Just has a couple little clasps on the top, and then you can fit all your stuff in here. I have a bunch of GoPro mounts in this bag. Yeah, so again, great. It's gonna let you carry exactly what you need as the beginner photography. All the stuff that I've talked about today would fit in here, besides the tripod. You would have to carry the tripod separately, but those are the bags. And again, they're linked down below. You're going to need the bags because you're gonna need to be able to take all of your camera stuff with you without having to hold it all, because you don't wanna be holding everything as you're walking for miles on miles, because you never just pull over off the side of the road and it's right there. I will say one time I've kind of had that happen. If you guys have been watching the waterfall that I was editing like a month ago, I think it was about a month ago, those were about, I would say 20 yards, maybe 30 yards off the street. So fantastic there, but that's not something that's gonna happen a lot with landscape photography. So you're gonna need the bag to make sure you can travel with everything that you need, and also hold your eventual gathering of a bunch of different things. You probably also don't need that, as you saw a lot of those GoPro mounts I don't use. All the stuff in the big camera bag though, I use all that. But that's also because I shoot video, which could be a whole other video, kind of pun there, but can be a whole other video about things you need for landscape photography video as well. But so those are the things you're going to need. a DSLR, lenses, preferably 2 that are going to give you a wide and a zoom. You're going to need the shutter remote, you're going to need a tripod, you're going to need at least a polarizing filter, and you're going to need something to hold all of your SDs because those are extremely important. You can't shoot without them. And then past that, extra camera batteries. You're always going to need a bunch of batteries and ways to charge them. If you're ever on the road, I'm going to grab another thing. If you're ever on the road and you need to charge your batteries, a great thing to do is this little thing right here, which is just a little power bank, but it has, as you can see, it has a solar. Will it actually charge with this light? Did I see it will. You see that? The lights are going. Maybe if I turn it over here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, see? The lights are going. That's saying it's charging from that, just from my light that's lighting up my face. But these are great. It also doubles as a flashlight. It's up there. But these are great to have. Clip it onto your backpack. It charges while you're walking. Charge your batteries when they inevitably fail on you. But yeah, so these are a bunch of different things you're going to need. Again, not everything that you're going to see as landscape photographers do you really need, but these are the basics that you are definitely going to need as a beginner landscape photographer. So if you guys have any questions over these, or if you should get a certain kind of camera, certain lens, or anything like that, feel free to ask me down in the comment section below. You could also reach out to me on my social medias. I'll display them here for you. I'm still holding a power bank. Let me hold that, put that down. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me on my social medias. Message me there, ask me all the questions you guys have. I would love to help you out on beginning your landscape photography journey. So make sure you guys are doing that as well. Like I said earlier, everything I talked about today, linked down below. They're all Amazon affiliate links. Again, that doesn't mean that you have to purchase anything extra of what you normally would. Just a small profit, like small profit, like cents, go to me, and then Amazon takes the rest. Again, no extra charge for you. So if you guys would like to help support me, you can check those out below and get you guys started on your landscape photography journey. Also, if you guys would like to help support me too, because you just love these videos that I make for you, 2 links down below I'd like you guys to check out. BigBearBCreative.com/eco apparel, so you can find all the apparel nature-based designs that I've created on this channel, plus some other ones. Again, all printed on eco-conscious material, really fantastic designs. And then the other one is BigBearBCreative.com/prints, where you can buy my photo prints. Again, bunch of different ones there. So if you guys like to support me, go ahead and check those out. If you like this video, if you learned something, if you're excited to start your landscape photography journey, hit that like button down below. Don't just hit it, bear paw that like button down below. Let me know you guys are enjoying these videos and keep making more of these for you. We do these every Friday, and then as often as I can, I give you guys a bonus Sunday video, typically about photo editing. So make sure you guys are subscribing if you're into that. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys have a great day. Be safe during this time, and go be creative.